Hello everyone, today we're taking a look at the BetaFPV LiteRadio3. This is kind of a starter radio. It's actually a pretty decent radio for getting started, especially when it comes to computer simulators. The version that I have here is the ExpressLRS. It also comes in FrSky. I only recommend the ExpressLRS at this time. Won't go into the details as to why FrSky, bad boys. But so this has ExpressLRS. If you're not familiar with that, ExpressLRS is an open source project that over the course of the last year has really taken off. It has exceptional range. It has feature sets as far as your control link and how you can manipulate that control link, packet rates to make it feel a little bit tighter in the controls, all sorts of stuff, all sorts of research that would need to be done there if you're not familiar. But I'm all in on ExpressLRS. So if that's a question, I've already answered that for you. This particular radio only supports ExpressLRS up to 100 milliwatt, which for most of us common people, that is going to be more than enough. If you're interested in knowing about ExpressLRS and range, go to Wesley Vardy's channel and check out some of his long wing flights that he's done with ExpressLRS. We're talking 30 kilometers plus. Basically, for us in FPV, you're probably going to lose video well before you ever lose control link. But more about this radio. So they've made some improvements as they state on their website. This one has adjustable stick ends, so you can separate the two pieces that make the stick ends and then raise them to meet your desired needs, which is a good thing for them to include. It's also got switches here, and they've gone away from the traditional metal switches that would stick out. Oftentimes people would suffer from those breaking, so we have 2 position buttons at the lower part of the radio, and we have 3 position switches at the top part of the radio. We also have a lanyard, which is this little circular hook thing off the middle, and that allows us to use a neck strap to keep the radio kind of in a particular position as we fly. They also tout new gimbals, and I will say that the gimbals, they feel as good as the radio that I use on a daily basis, so the springs might be a little tighter than my preference, but overall, it seems like they feel pretty reasonable. This has a 2000 milliamp 1S battery in there, so it should give you quite a bit of flight time. Of course, the battery is inside, so you need to charge via the USB-C port. You see next to the USB-C port, we also have the bind button and the setup button, as well as I think that's a trainer jack. On the back here, we have this module bay, and that, from my understanding, is only useful if you've got the FrSky version and you want to add either the Crossfire or an ExpressLRS module, which BetaFPV does sell their own nano module for ExpressLRS, so you could use that. Now, something that you need to be aware of if you're looking at this radio, it's very likely that you're helping someone get started or you're just getting started themselves. And this radio should be fine for the purposes of getting started. Some people prefer the buy once, so you spend more initially, and then you have probably equipment that will be friendly to this hobby for a longer period of time than some of these entry-level radios. But I use what most would consider a entry-level radio. My daily driver is the Jumper T-Lite. So if that tells you anything. One of the limitations is this does not run OpenTX in its native form. You are dependent upon BetaFPV providing updates, and you are restricted to using the BetaFPV configurator for this radio. So you don't have all the different features that might be in OpenTX. For quads and FPV, shouldn't be that big a deal, but there could be things as you go along your journey that you find you do want to change and you hear about them on YouTube or a flying friend tells you about. So do know that you're dependent upon BetaFPV providing updates and as well as restricted to the configurator for this particular radio. And ExpressLRS, another thing I want to bring up is they have ridiculously small receivers. Look at that. Yeah, this is a new receiver. It's not even on their webpage. I can't tell you much about it, but it has a flat antenna. For those of you that like to build your micros, this might be a receiver that you want to take a look at because if you've had troubles with cube antennas breaking off in flight or in crashes, this should be durable. More durable, at least, because it's flat. As you can see, hopefully, if I can lay this flat, the camera will probably focus on my face here, so let me put my hand behind it. That little red bit out there, that is the antenna, and that is pretty dadgum flat. And as far as it weighing any different, comes in about a half a gram. As a micro guy, this is a pretty exciting development because the layer height isn't as much. So you could actually slide this between two boards if, you know, getting that long range isn't your goal, but actually, you know, saving weight and getting into tight builds. So take a look at BetaFPV's website or your favorite FPV shops for this particular receiver. I don't even know what it's called in the moment. BetaFPV also released a new 1-watt ExpressLRS. Of course, this and this, those don't go together. Let's keep that straight. So this is a 1-watt module, so you could fly to the moon and back a couple of times, and it has, as you can see there, it has a display with a joystick. It does allow you to manipulate the screen, so you wouldn't necessarily need to go through the Lewis script on your radio. This is a micro module, so you'll tend to have a larger radio that has a module bay that this fits in. And then I think this is called the Moxon antenna. Not necessarily that it's any better, but you know, you could find a purpose for it. It's actually more attractive than our traditional whip antennas that we've been using on top of things. And this cable does flex and kind of hold its position, and the antenna pops on the very top here with an MMCX, so it just kind of presses on and tugs off. But we get some nice colors in the LED, and we have a little screen here. And they also redesigned the USB port, or at least the casing around the USB port, so that presumably, just about any old USB-C cable will plug right in. We've seen a number of different iterations of this from not only BetaFPV but other companies as we've kind of gone through the ExpressLRS craze. So I haven't used this one yet. I'm presuming that it operates just like the others, but there could be a feature inside here that I just haven't fully fleshed out yet. Okay, if you stuck around all the way, here's a little bit of fun flight for you. I'd like to do proof of concepts when it comes to radios, especially when it comes to the channel. I like to use those radios, get my hands on them. And the LiteRadio3, it's a little bit bigger than the LiteRadio2 SE and the 2. So it's a little bit awkward that they're gotten bigger, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. For me, I use the Jumper T-Lite, which is the original form factor. And I don't have any problems using it, but picking a radio is oftentimes very specific to us as individuals. It's not something that we can easily just look at a radio and say, ah, yeah, that's for us. I've tried a lot of different radios, and a lot of radios that I don't feel comfortable using, a lot of other people feel very comfortable using. It's their preferred radio. Just like I like to use the Jumper T-Lite, some people just can't stand the Jumper T-Lite. So unfortunately, you kind of have to make your best estimation. By the way, as you can tell, I pinch, and I pinch on gamepad style radios. So if you think it's just for thumbers, for people who only use their thumbs for flying, not so much. I like the gamepad style radios because I feel that my wrist flexibility doesn't limit me and my comfort when I'm sitting with it. I don't use a lanyard, as you can tell. I just kind of sit comfortably, and I let my elbows kind of rest by my side, and the radio kind of ends up in my hand suspended as my arms rest against my stomach, and then I fly and have some fun. So maybe the most important part about this video all the way here to the end is the price. So ExpressLRS, which is a really nice radio protocol, but it is limited on this particular radio up to 100 milliwatts. This radio is $60 or $59.99, and then you oftentimes have shipping, of course, and you may have taxes. It depends on where you live. So as far as a budget radio goes, it's a good starter for $60. I think if you're looking to get an ExpressLRS, especially ExpressLRS that's built into the radio, this is one of two currently on the market, but we're going to see more of them. But I don't think those that we're going to be seeing in the immediate near future are going to be as inexpensive as this $60 LiteRadio3. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.